for.
You mentioned Mamdani, and you are in New York, sort of speaking in behalf of him to a certain extent. You know, I wonder, though, often we see this, and this is a local election. New York does not operate in a vacuum. It competes with other cities. And so this idea of somehow raising taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers, who, by the way, I would point out, pay roughly 15% of their income right now between city and state, raising taxes on them will simply drive them away. Shouldn't the focus of a mayor be on delivering services to the constituents of the city and doing that by raising the most revenue as possible without chasing businesses and the high-income taxpayers out of the city, because they can go to Austin, they can go to Dallas, they can go to Atlanta, they can go to Nashville. This is your issue. It's a national issue, not a local issue.
The issue is affordability. Do you know how many working families are chased out of New York City every day because they can't afford housing, they can't afford groceries, they can't afford child care? What Zohran is saying is, I want people to be able to afford to live in New York City. That's what keeps it a vibrant city. That's what makes people want to live
Nobody
here.
disagrees with that, Senator, but raising taxes in order to do it? Why is that the answer?
Oh, dear. Are you worried that billionaires are going to go hungry?
No, I'm worried that they're going to leave and spend their money elsewhere.
You know, they've threatened to do that over and over and over.
And they have. They've left.
But here's the thing.
And Goldman Sachs, when they create new jobs, they do it in Dallas. And Blackstone won't build a new headquarters. They go on and on.
You want to have a workable city? You want to have a city that's vibrant? You want to have a city where the streets are full, where there are things for sale 24 hours a day? Then you need people who can live here and work here.
Well, we've got that right now, by the way. I would point out New York is thriving. So now it's doing pretty well, actually.
I'm glad you think they're doing well, because a lot of people are struggling to pay for housing. A lot of people are struggling to pay for groceries. And I got to tell you, mamas and daddies who are facing $25,000 a year to pay for child care.
Those are national issues. I mean, I know they are the local state, but you can't.
New York City.
Yes, but if you deal with them in that way, by what is always your backup, just tax them more, they will leave.
No, the backup is make this city and make this country work for everyone. I get that the Republican point of view is make this country and make every city in this country work better and better for a handful of billionaires and let everybody else eat dirt. But what Mamdani won on in a Democratic primary is he said, I'm going to address affordability. And he didn't win by one vote.
No, he won by a lot. It's very much unclear he has the ability to actually do it, by the way, based on the laws and what the governor has to say and what he would actually have to do.
You know, I love that as the fallback position, and that is he's fighting for the right thing, but maybe the billionaires will have a way to
everybody
block
wants
him.
a more affordable city. There's no doubt about that. The question is how you go.
I actually do have a doubt about that. The
build more housing.
Sure want to pay their part on this.
You build more housing. You do try to make it more affordable, but it is a very difficult thing to do. You know that around the country. This is not an issue that just here in New York. It's everywhere.
But it's not an issue that Eric Adams was fighting for. It's certainly not an issue that Andrew
I think the mayor would say they have been trying to focus on building as many new.
Mamdani is the one who said, I will make this a priority. And you know what he said? He said, I'm really going to lean in on child care. I'm really going to lean in on housing. And I'm even going to try some new things to bring down the cost of groceries.
So it doesn't concern you that
I'm not going to sit around and pretend, it's a federal problem. Let the federal government fix this.
You can say all these things, but again, I think many people would disagree to the extent that by raising taxes and making it more onerous for business that create the jobs, that create the revenues on which tax revenues come from, that you'd ultimately be dealing with a smaller pie. He may succeed by driving everybody out. Rents will go down.
That the best way to run city government or national government is to start with the billionaires and say what will work best for you. Vote Republican.
I don't think anybody in New York is talking about doing that.
If you don't, then let's make the city more affordable. Let's make the country more affordable. And the way we do that, let's focus on housing. Let's focus on groceries. Let's focus on child care. Donald Trump
These are your
ran.
issues. These are national issues.
Trump
you deal with
ran
that.
For and New York should just say, all we want is the
mayor of New York should focus on delivering the most services to the citizens of the city and make it a point of improving life for them.
Your fellow New Yorkers have said he should focus on affordability. This is why they have voted for Mamdani, and that's why today I will be here to talk about his plans on child care, why people are talking about his plans. He's going to experiment to try to bring down grocery costs in food deserts. God bless him on that. He's going to try something. When is the last time you saw America say, I'm going to try something
You think
for
somebody who
families,
has absolutely
and he's
no
going to bring
experience,
down...
33-year-old socialist, is going to succeed as the mayor of New York?
Yes, I do.
With no real experience whatsoever in city
I think he's going to do a
government?
lot more for working families than someone like Cuomo, who says, how many billions of dollars can we get into my campaign so that I can try to beat this guy back? Look, this is democracy at work. People want to see someone who's on their side, and that is Zohran Mamdani.
You've mentioned housing as an element of the affordability issue a couple of times. It's one of the areas of agreement among almost everybody that we have to find a way to get housing supply up. Practically speaking, how do we have that happen in New York and everywhere?
I'm glad you asked that, because just this week, the United States Senate unanimously passed a housing bill that Chairman Tim Scott and I put together with help from every single member of the committee, both Republicans and Democrats. And the answer is supply. We need more housing supply. And the role of the federal government, basically, has been, we'll do the finance end of it somewhat. We do a little bit on public housing, and basically to stay out, while for 40 years, year over year over year, the price of housing keeps going up. This bill is a real sea change because it diagnoses the problem correctly. It says we just don't have enough housing anywhere in America. And that's true, urban, rural. It's true about rental housing. It's true about housing for first-time home buyers. It's true about housing for seniors, housing for people with disabilities, housing for people who have no housing at all. So what this bill does is it moves forward on a lot of different fronts at once. It has a lot of pieces in it to make it less expensive to build. More modular housing, for example. More pre-approved plan book housing, so you don't have to spend time getting plans approved. It also has my innovation fund in it to say, if you're one of those cities that's actually trying to build more housing, federal government will be a good partner to you. We'll help put some money on the table for the new elementary school or for the new sewer connections that you're going to need. But the whole notion is push, push, push toward more supply, which will help bring down prices.
I'll tell you one thing that would bring down prices in New York, but he won't ever do it, which is just deregulating everything. We have a lot of apartments that are under rent stabilization and rent control, but that's a third rail. I mean, I've lived here my whole life, so, you know, I do have a sense for how things work here.
One of the things that Zohran is talking about is how to increase housing supply here in New York City, bring in more new housing. And that is one of the ways that you give young people an opportunity to have their own place. You know, I just do one little stat in this area. Back in the 1980s, 1990s, first-time home buyer was 28 years old. Today, they're 38 years old. And an increasing number of young people are just saying, I will never get a house, a home of any kind, of condo. I will never do that. I met with a bunch of my fire chiefs out in Massachusetts not so long ago, and they were talking about having hired a whole new cohort of young firefighters. They're all basically in their late 20s. And around the table, the chiefs were all saying, and most of them still have to live at home with their mom and dad. They cannot afford to buy housing. That's a problem nationally, and we need to help the cities that want to build more
Without
housing.
a doubt. And lower rates obviously would help as well. Senator, always good to have you here. Thank you.
Always good to be here.
Appreciate it. Senator
Thank
Elizabeth
you.
Warren, you're welcome.